Hello and welcome to Living World of Darkness, Rage Across the Bays, as we set our scene on the 7th of the Green, where it is yet another tea time for Jacob Clay, also known as Falcon Shining Bay. As he's invited another bay called Deer Bay, also known as 10 Bays. As that's pretty much my setup. Yep.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Well, in that case, 10 bays will come up the path then. Coming on over. Coming on round. After all, it is tea time.
It is tea time. It is regular. They have it. They have tea times. And everything is set up, and it's all lovely. And there are scones. And there is a little thing for the mouse pal to eat out of.
Aww. Little mouse buddy.
This whole it's not a mug, what do you call it? Like a
saucer?
It's like a tiny little bowl. Yeah, it's like a little sauce. No, not a saucer, it's like a little bowl. It's not really a saucer because it's not like it's literally on the table. It's like it's closer to like, what do they call it? A pestle, like the mortar, I guess.
Yeah. That'll work. Just a small bowl. You could just call it like
it's just a small bowl and has biscuits in it.
No.
Little iced biscuits.
Oh, little iced biscuits for little mouse buddy. Yeah, you will hear the distinct sound of a flurry of jingles and then none, as 10 Point is in the process of pulling the last cluster of them from her antlers and tucking it into her bag as she comes up to the porch, offers a little light upward bob of head to be polite, and invites herself on up because she knows what's going on.
Yes, she does. Jacob will stand up and pull out a seat for her because he's a gentleman.
And he'll probably get a very familiar kind of. It's not even just tolerant anymore. It's just the polite little smile that translates somewhere to you don't have to do that, but she's given up. Given up the ghost. So she gets her chair pulled out for her and will take her seat. And especially upon noting that there is a tiny bowl full of tiny biscuits, we'll go ahead and loft her hand up to head height and offering her palm to little mouse buddy, who once he scampers onto her palm will be lowered onto the table where he can have his little bowl. She'll probably hear him, or he'll probably hear her uttering something or another in spirit speech because the mouse seems to understand fairly well. And yeah, little mouse buddy will probably immediately start to like poking through the little biscuits, pick out one in particular and start, nibbling away, little whiskers dancing around, twitching.
No. It's chocolate, strawberry, trying to think of other flavors of icing biscuits.
Don't hurt yourself.
Vanilla, I guess?
Yeah, just regular icing. Regular old.
Yeah, just regular icing, chocolate icing, strawberry icing, lemon icing.
Little mouse Bae is suitably pampered.
It's 5-star meal.
Little mouse Bae will be spoiled as is only appropriate.
overwhelmed by the patronage of the local Silverfang.
Yes.
But seeing that Mouse Bay is appropriately pampered and cared for, we'll turn to 10 point. Simply say, good day to you, 10 point. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Raya. But I'm doing well.
What did she say?
Oh,
I'm
just
doing-
good afternoon, and I'm doing well. It is very familiarly the same tone that's like, as well as can be expected.
I'm doing not terrible.
Mhm.
It's good to hear. I see your mouse friend is doing appropriately well.
Yes. Of course. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I wouldn't doubt you for a second. You sound a little tired.
It's nothing of special remark. New shrines, new spirits to tend. I'm helping Tamer of Dragons Raya to seek the favor of the Morgan.
Don't wake yourself to sleep now.
No. Though Shinlo has taken to climbing up with me on the rock at night. It's not unwelcome company.
Oh, that's nice of him.
And I'm sure the rock appreciates it. He seems to have been lonely with the pack that once called him home, having left.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine spending all that time alone. Sounds awfully sad. Gotta see the Rock's got some new friends again.
And she nods, again, offering kind of a faint little smile. He appreciates the company and the flowers. I'll have to find something that stays colorful through the winter for him.
Yeah, not too many plants that stay active during the winter.
Not many. I know that
Particularly not the colourful
poinsettia
ones.
are colorful. They're usually kept inside. I don't know how well it would fare out in the cold.
There's got to be some hardy winter flower there.
None that I've found yet. But I have not stopped looking. I suppose that worst came to worst, I could see about transplanting some of the holly.
Yeah,
Not a flower per se.
yeah. Depends whether everybody wants flowers or just something colourful.
He does seem to prefer the flowers, but I don't know. I'll be hard pressed to find anything smaller that fares well in winter.
Maybe I'll have tea there sometime.
You're more than welcome. He likes the company.
I need to dedicate the tea set, and then the tea. Then he ponders this if he can dedicate liquid.
One could always package them up carefully, and I could tuck it into my swag.
We could do that.
Could.
Oh! We could get the Rocket Party hat for Thanksgiving.
She kind of tilts her head a bit. I have heard of it, but have never participated. Because one must remember that 10 Point is from Ireland. Thanksgiving is not a thing there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of history behind it, but at the end of the day, it's really just time to give thanks.
If that is why you celebrate it, then I don't see the harm.
Could use it as a time to give thanks to all the little guys who go missing.
You could.
I'm not sure how the... That poor Rock spends all that time standing vigil. I doubt he gets thanked too much for it.
It is strange for him to be awake so long, I admit, but I'm sure he would appreciate any kindness shown him.
Well, I'll do that then. Oh,
For
sorry.
Earth Spirit, he's just strangely aware.
Well, may as well have fun while he's awake.
May as well.
It's been rather quiet the past few days. I have to say, I'm quite happy.
It has. Besides the fostering challenge, there was little to focus on, which for once is pleasant without the sense of impending doom.
Always nice. When doom averts her gaze.
Seems rare. I hope your job has gotten no more exciting.
No, I'm still working on the Kin and the Masons. Bet they have a case file somewhere. Bet it's hidden well, but I know they have one. No way someone does what they does and doesn't end up on a watch list.
No? I apologize. I have trouble keeping up with all of these human names that are tied to all of the things we're doing. There seem to be quite a number of them.
Oh, the Masons. I mean, there are a lot of people called Mason, but this particular family of Masons, one of them was the CEO of the Enron oil incident.
Ah,
He was commanding that operation, and obviously we got rid of him. But he still has a family left that seems content to continue his line of work. Strider's been tasked with looking into him. Well, looking into them, sorry, as a family. Seem to be tied up in a lot of well, certainly in a lot of white collar crime. Probably a lot of blue crime as well.
Oop, you went fuzzy for a second. Did I lose you?
No, it's fine. I'm here.
Okay. Okay, good.
Hello. He says, "Nah, I'm sure they're wrapped up in everything from blue collar to white collar crime, or pretty much every variety." Sure as hell no, the Harlem precinct won't have a file on them, but I bet mine will.
I wish I understood more about these things so that I could be more of a help.
We're all good at what we're good at. I think Striders will pick because it's what we're good at, so...
Sounds like
you
a
can do
logical
things I
decision to
can't do,
me.
so... You know... Striders have always been pretty... Striders have always been pretty tied into the... or plugged into the mortal world. So... Wouldn't surprise me if they... Sorry, there. Doesn't surprise me to see that we'll pick for this task. Could even go as far back as Travis, maybe?
Travis Moran.
I know Contempt of Court was all about this, but I know even back then they, you know, you certainly weren't bad at it.
Both names I've heard, but Guru I
Looks
have
like-
never met.
Both have moved on to their homelands.
And she just kind of nods a bit.
No, I met Travis after that happened. He helped us in destroying Chloe's mother.
Travis Moran did. You called upon his spirit?
Yeah. And Man-at-Arms as well.
This place does seem to keep a close tie to their ancestors. Perhaps I should learn more of them in the future, if they're so willing to aid.
Sonny should say that. I don't actually talk to my ancestor spirits all that much.
I speak or confer frequently with the lives that came before me, but they are not necessarily my ancestors directly. I imagine that my ancestors would be less pleased to speak with me.
It's funny that we should mention ancestor spirits, though. I'm not sure if you Well, I guess you probably wouldn't have heard.
Her eyebrows, do a little pop inquisitively.
There was a time when a huge amount of, well, pretty much the ancestor spirit of everyone who had ever been on this sept was called up.
Is that so, right?
Basically an enormous guru army of ancestor spirits. That's what turned tide when Gleaming Eye came to the sept.
And my, what a lovely cup of tea this is.
It
It seems so strange to me that people fought so hard over one guru when our lives are already so short. How long did she live after that battle, Raya?
2 months.
And she just continues to look down at her tea for the moment.
I was there when that happened. I didn't know it at the time, but I now know what kindred did that. Sorry, I wouldn't call them kindred. Sorry, fuck, I keep doing vampire things. I know what Leech did that.
A leech did what, Raya?
Leech was the one that ended her life. It was from a clan of them. Well, calls themselves the Clan of Shadows or whatever. Can manipulate darkness. But unnatural darkness.
Weren't there leeches on the field during the battle as well?
I remember that. Pretty sure the vast majority of them we later found and killed. If not all of them. I was curious as to how they knew.
It does seem strange.
But more dead leeches, I guess.
Very true.
It's not like any of them are left alive now. I don't know about the armored one.
The armored one.
I don't remember what happened to him. We've killed all of his friends. But I've never seen him ever since that incident. I wonder if Felicia's did their own in. Or if he's just hiding. Or just left. One great unsolved mystery, I suppose. But yeah, there was one in full plate mail. Screaming all the way across the battlefield, and then fled in terror. From what I was told. I don't think I was there for much of that. I was on the other side of the battlefield. Didn't really do too much of the leeches. Just that I reappropriated someone's clave and used it for a more productive purpose, I suppose. Not that the battle in any way was productive.
Is he wearing the clave?
No, so he has his clave on him basically at all times. But the clave he's speaking of is obviously not the one in his possession because he recently acquired this clave.
Okay, so it is a different one than the one that he picked up on the field.
It is different. Yeah. Oh, see, you had no idea how I wanted to claim that as a cub right there.
Well, yeah, I just had to make sure because if that thing was like a gleaming enclave, like then things would be so awkward.
Lol. But yeah, at the end of the day, a bunch of Garu wound up dead for really, at the end of the day, no reason.
For a reason that died 2 months later, Raya. And now there are hellholes back home, and even my people are being affected.
It always surprises me how eager we're always ready to go back to the days of Civil War. I mean, I guess humanity still hasn't figured it out, so I guess it shouldn't really surprise me that we haven't.
It just puzzles me, Raya. Perhaps it is because I did not know her, but so much loss of life and such gross consequences all over one person. One person who, after all that loss of life, lost her own. What, 2 turns of the moon later? The consequences have stretched far.
It appears time it is not a straight line, but a circle.
If I can ask, Raya,
But at least things are better now. Oh, sorry.
they do seem to be. But honestly, Raya, after what happened, what do you and yours think of my beta being here?
I think Balian's a prisoner of war. Far to be literal about it. Not that that makes me think any less of him.
She takes
But
up
I
a
do get
thoughtful
the strong
expression.
feeling that I do get the strong feeling that part of the reason he's here is not necessarily of his own volition. And a lot of it has to do with how tribal politics what turned out after that battle.
You're more insightful than most, Raya.
I'll just hope he's able to make the most out of being here. I know it's not where he wants to be. I mean, I wouldn't appreciate being moved halfway across the planet either. After a battle that I had no initial stake in or ability to participate in. Hell, even then.
In the end, it seems that with the consequences of the hellholes and all being called forward to keep a line there, strangely enough, it seems that he and we are safer here. Something of a cruel irony.
Maybe, but I'd have no doubt that he'd be in the thick of it if given the choice. I just hope one day he acquires the rank necessary for him to dictate the pace of his own life rather than it being decided for him. It's always irritated me.
I hope so too, Raya. He has been very distant for a very long time. I feel that it is not of his own volition.
I mean, obviously he and I don't meet eye to eye on many issues, but at least those are issues he's decided for himself. I would hope.
And at least if you do not see eye to
Sometimes
eye, you can speak.
That's true. We're able to have a conversation, which is nice. I guess it is a bit hypocritical of me to also state that it irritates me of someone's life being decided for them, when in many ways that is my job, both in and out of the nation.
There is some difference
Considering
to
I'm
be.
literally taking people off the street and putting them in a box.
I dare say, Raya, that there is some difference between charting the course of a person's entire life for them and removing all decisions and simply reinforcing a handful of rules that are there for a reason.
I just think that with my appointed auspice in combination with my tribal role, it's perhaps a finer line for me than it is for perhaps others, and I try to appreciate that where I can.
You do well, Raya.
I crossed it once in the human world, and I crossed it once in the nation. They aren't mistakes I intend to respectively repeat within their realms again. If nothing else, at least I made the mistake early enough so that I can learn from it without impacting too many other people.
A lucky thing, Raya.
This is what I told when I was a cub, just make all the mistakes now.
It's best to make your mistakes when they can be remedied readily.
Only one guy has to deal with the nonsense. Feel bad for him in hindsight.
Your den parent.
Yeah. Snails screams in silence. Olaf, Tryggvason. And I was briefly under the name of Calls the Fury, Black Fury Lupus. I didn't see eye to eye with her very much, and I think we often got very frustrated with each other. I think both of us were quite explicit in how we viewed the world, but weren't able to express that properly to each other. It's kind of a shame. In hindsight, I would wish for a do-over with her. Olaf I got along a bit better with.
It's quite the name for a den father. Were you
Well,
also bad as
Finner
that?
aren't
She
known for
kind of
half
grins.
measures. Well, it's in silence, so I'm not sure I'd be able to tell, even if I was. I would hope not, but I probably was.
He gives himself a bit of an amused smirk.
Probably not as bad as William. Not as bad as William. I wasn't that bad. That wasn't great. I was super idealistic and would always charge in with a point to make.
We were all children
Usually
once,
without
right?
understanding the full context or consequences.
The luxury of cubhood, Raya. I wouldn't dwell on it.
It is what it is. Can't change past. Can only reflect on it.
And even then, it seems that the wisest thing to do is keep your eyes forward. Don't forget, but don't waste too much time looking back.
Mm.
You can hardly look where you're going if you're looking only at where you've been.
Yeah, I think that's largely apt. It's weird. I actually see those lack of half measures when it comes to past and the future as well. You have half a dozen tribes that are super focused on the future, and then you have half a dozen tribes that are only focused on the past.
I stand by my words, Raya. We shouldn't forget the past, but nor should we dwell on it in favor of looking to the future.
Oh, see, she sounds a bit standoffish. Does she come across as that? Out of character, does she come across as a bit standoffish in her statement? Because she said, like, I stand by my words, as if to stand her ground.
It's just kind of a way of saying, you know what, fuck it. I'll said it before, I'll say it again. It's not meant to be standoffish per se. If anything, she seems maybe a little distracted, but not hostile.
Okay. In which case, you'll poke her.
She gives a kind of a blink. Like it's definitely as if she's been distracted, and like she's kind of looking at her tea and stirring it and sipping it and whatnot, but a little distant, and he gives her the poke, and she kind of pops back to the here and now, blinking at him.
You seem a little unfocused. What's wrong?
Things have not gone so well as I'd hoped, Raya. And I had not considered that I would fail in my task. So I am mulling over another approach to take.
You'll move his chair a little bit closer to her. What do you mean?
And she shoots a vaguely distracted glance, just back in the vague direction of her own cabin. You know that Mariah is quick to anger. And it's not his fault. There is... It feels like a knot in his belly. And I had thought that once he got what he came here to do, once he did the thing that he needed, it would loosen and it would fade. But it hasn't. And she just kind of idly sets down her tea. And I mean, especially with him scooched close, we'll just kind of adopt a faint lean until they're bumped shoulder to shoulder. And we'll just idly go to like rubbing at the palm of one hand with the other thoughtfully. And I'm not sure how to fix it, Raya. But it bothers me. It should already be set right.
I couldn't speak to too much of what you're going through in fear of presumption.
It looks to me much like I imagine the worm's touch must look in me. And I know that I can't get rid of the wicked deed that was done in my case. But he shouldn't be burdened with that snarling anger and that knot in his belly.
Oh, am I back? Am I back?
You are.
Okay, sorry. Where did I get to?
You just said you couldn't say for lack of presumption, and then I assumed you had finished your sentence because I didn't hear anything after that.
Okay. Jacob would say, after saying for the fear of presumption, but I personally find often that the essence of a person does not change so easily or overnight. Process of healing, particularly when it comes to combating a strength of rage as great as ours, is slow and often painful.
Oh, yay, you're back.
Yeah.
That was fast.
So fast, I outsped your Facebook message.
You did. It's not something that I've tried to do quickly, Raya. I spent time learning the wound that lay under it, trying to understand where it came from. And while he's had more than a brush from Luna's hand, it's more than that. Because if he harbors as much of her gift as you do. Even you do not lose your temper so quickly.
That might be the thing, though. The one who caused the wound might very well be gone, but the wound is still there, lingering.
I'd hoped that it would give him closure. That he would finally be able to sweep aside the bitterness and the infection and give it a chance to heal.
Maybe, given some time. Perhaps this is finally the opportunity for him to move on, but even grieving's a process.
And she continues to just kind of idly knead at her palm with the other hand, thoughtfully. Still looking ahead, still plopped with the head on his shoulder.
What else have you tried?
I don't know what else to try, Raya. I help him to vent his anger when it becomes too strong. I push and I press. And I try. I try to solve the wound, but it is not so easy. Perhaps I should go to Unicorn.
Maybe. I can see your problem. You've tried to do what would appear to be the most clear route to solving the problem, but now you're left with a ton of possibilities with a lack of clarity about how they might work, or even if they would succeed at all.
And she puts on kind of a weak grin. I may struggle, Raya, but I'm not accustomed to disappointing my pack.
You've done what was expected of you. At the end of the day, for all the help that Uriah might be given by you or anybody else, only he can move past his anger.
It's not as simple as anger, Raya.
You said it was like a knot in his chest.
It's something there. It's not just the weight of an emotion. You have a pack link, Raya. You've been able to feel what your pack mates feel. And this is more than just emotion. It's a weight. It's a knot. It's almost a tumor. It's just feels like it's latched on. I know it's not the touch of the worm in the strictest sense, but it is still such a keen anger, Raya.
Jacob spends a moment mulling on this, thinking, kind of navel gazing.
I'm sure you've seen it. When he is speaking and is calm, and then suddenly he whips around, his eyes flash. That's not just temporary.
I can't say too much. Because at the end of the day, I don't know enough about your pack mate. But it sounds a lot like a defense mechanism. Or an aspect of his grief that he's still not been able to move past from. Something that's a constant effect on his mood.
And she finally sits herself up again, issuing kind of a belabored sort of sigh. Takes up her tea again.
Makes me wish I was a psychiatrist so I could solve the problem.
This goes deeper than feeling, though, Raya. There's a wrongness that I don't know how to set right.
What do you mean by when it goes deeper than feeling? Like it's part of who he is?
No, it feels like it's almost like a tick that's dug in, Raya. And I've tried to burn it, and I've tried to suffocate it, and I've tried to pluck it away. But it won't let loose. It's more than just how much he hurts because of what's happened to him. It's more than just the anger he feels. It's more than even the rage that Luna has granted him. It's just something wrong. And I thought that if I addressed what had gotten this to dig in the first place, it would finally let loose. And for a short while, he seemed better. But as soon as he came back to himself properly, it tightened again, Raya.
Jacob needs to take note of a specific piece of information.
She'll kind of give him a curious little side glance.
And the way you said it interested me. Like he was better for a while, but then it came back.
It seemed that way.
Is that how he is when he vents? He gets better for a while and then he becomes short-tempered again?
Not usually. But usually, he has been this way for a long time. And usually, venting it out, it helps. But... God damn it, phone. Where are you? But when we went after this, he seemed to be very much at peace, just briefly. But he was also very distant, Raya. And directionless for a short while. And I thought it had loosened, and I thought it had faded. But in no time at all, it tightened again. It was still there.
Makes me think for how long he's had it. After a certain point, things start to exist independently of what caused them. Something can become self-sustaining, even if it no longer has any resemblance to its original purpose. It becomes too large or too entrenched to simply dismantle. It makes me wonder if what he went through was not the cause but the justification. That whatever afflicts him has been there longer. This was just a reason for it to be extant, to be released. It would explain why he calmed briefly. He may have thought he destroyed his own cause. Only to subconsciously realize he has no justification anymore. And requires a new one. Like an unrealized dependency. Because he's been that way for such a long time. And what he's done with that anger, that wrongness, that perhaps existing with that wrongness is more comfortable than being rid of it.
He had
Because
looked
then one
forward
has
to
to
being
deal.
free of it, Raya.
Pardon?
He had looked forward to being free of it, Raya.
And yet, if all was stated was, if all that has been stated was accurate, he most likely would be. So there's something we're missing. But the real challenge is finding out what it is, because there's a genuine chance Aiden himself doesn't realize it. Not that that is his fault, because it wouldn't be. I've no doubt he probably wants to be rid of whatever afflicts him in an overt sense.
He does. I know he does, Raya, but I don't know how. And my pack is looking to me for an answer. And I don't have one.
I look back. And I see the method. If you believe this to be correct, of course. If you don't believe it to be so, then correct me, because I don't want to give you any words or advice that would be misleading or just straight up leading you in the wrong direction. But from what I see so far, there's been the method so far has been to moderate this anger by having it vented out in moderate bursts over time, having it effectively unleashed under a controlled environment. And that's what happened when Aiden did what he needed to do and got his closure, presumably.
And she mulls over it for a second. I wouldn't say that what we did was the same as venting it from him. It was a frenzy of action, Raya. But it was certainly intended to be the last of it.
Yeah. I mean, before that, he would vent to moderate. He would vent before you to moderate his anger, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. And then there's the frenzy of action.
We finally went after what we thought was the anchor, what we thought was the reason, what he came here to do.
His end goal. And that he accomplished.
Yes.
I see a couple of possibilities from this point forward. Because from what you've told me, it would appear that the release of whatever has afflicted him, or its symptoms, have not removed it.
No, but they help.
They help moderate it, but they haven't been able to, like a tick, basically, pry it out
No.
So perhaps then it might be worth discussing this with Unicorn. Perhaps the opposite approach might be more effective. Particularly as you've seen the first approach to its logical conclusion of Aiden fulfilling his end goal. Whatever you want to call it, justice, vendetta, vengeance, good or no. That is, it has been, the requirements for this method have been met. It's reached its conclusion. So, yeah, I would say your instinct to go to Unicorn would be a wise one. The other suggestion I might give would be to find someone or something that can allow Aiden to understand himself fully. To peel away everything that is there and lay the truth bare before him. Because we see the problem. We thought we destroyed its source, but it's still there. And it is so much harder to treat an illness without knowing its real source, or whether it's even dependent on it. Maybe you did destroy the source. Maybe it doesn't matter. But the only way anyone's going to find that out is if Aiden finds that out.
She continues to look thoughtful over it, mull it over. She's probably like nibbling at a scone and just kind of distant-eyed. I may have some stopgaps. Perhaps I can speak to the doves, settle a chiminage, and bind one to him, so that there's something that grants him the peace to react without this thing tightening its grip and forcing its influence. so that he can be clear-headed. And with that, perhaps time with Chimera.
I think that's wise. I think a spirit under unicorn giving Aiden the clarity to see what Chimera might show him would be your best path forward. It's very hard to talk to someone when they're in a state of perpetual anger.
There's just the most fleeting kind of preaching to the choir glance that happens. And I will have it done.
I hope that's in any way helpful.
If nothing else, Raya, it's been a relief to be able to think aloud.
Even you need to vent. He pokes her hip slightly.
And she kind of side glances. I don't know that it's venting, Raya. It's just having a bit of free air to set it all out and to look at it. It's important to me to have this done because I've seen the lines that are drawn between the packs and between the people in this sept, and they need to be smudged out.
Yay. Politics.
Just so, Raya. But these things can't be resolved if the problems beneath aren't handled.
Yeah. I'll actually be talking to Saoirse later today.
No?
I noticed something very interesting, but above all else, I wasn't necessarily super good friends with Teresa, but we had understandings, favors, an alliance of sorts. We both knew where we stood, and we were able to work very well together, and I want to ensure that continues. I also know... I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I also know some of her pack mates, and I know I didn't get along with all of them. I want to know where they stand right now.
I'm sure Saoirse will be amenable to whatever agreements came before. She is very even-headed, very insightful, Raya.
She is a fitting successor to Teresa's pack. Guess even after the fact she can be trusted is a testament to her in a way. She reminds me of Aiden a little bit. Not Aiden, sorry. Wait a second. I'm just going to call him Contempt.
Aaron.
Aaron, not Aiden. God damn it. Yeah, he reminds me of Aaron in a way. She reminds me of Aaron in a way.
I hope it is in a good way, Raya.
Yeah. Both of them had everything planned out. I'll see what I can do to keep things amenable between her and your pack. I know you go in very... The packs tend to travel in opposite directions.
We did not have the finest of understandings with Teresa, but we were at peace. Saoirse has run with me in mind on many occasions now. I wouldn't worry about her.
It's good to know. My only concern comes from her packmates. I know she's the alpha, but beta is above her in rank.
Her beta, meanwhile, has not maintained nearly so careful a connection to the rest of the sept. And she still has many things to apologize for.
It's a political dichotomy. I could probably remedy it fairly easily and quickly, but I don't want to have to do that because that involves me making a certain call that while it probably wouldn't anger the sept, in fact, it would probably satisfy the sept, to be honest. It's likely to divide that pack, if not cause more political tension with that pack and the rest of the sept, which I don't want.
She kind of gives a helpless shrug. Politics.
What's the problem? Foster Alpha, Adrian Beta kind of holds up his hands as if to, like, kind of shakes them as if to say, Christ's sake.
In the end, the ranks within the nation and the ranks within the pack make little difference in choosing. If they accept a lower ranked alpha, then that is their choice. And considering the membership of the pack, I would say it is the correct choice.
That'd be my call. There's a willful choice here to defer to someone below you in rank and put them above you in relation to pack matters. So
One's position in a pack simply conveys certain responsibilities to that pack. If Saoirse is the alpha, and thus the go-between between her people and the rest of the sept, it is a good choice. If Alana is the beta, and she is the go-between between the alpha and her packmates, certainly a better choice than alpha. Besides, I'm sure Saoirse has not long to climb to that next rank.
this is true. She's been rising pretty quickly, almost as fast as me. And I think for similar reasons. I'm interested in where she's going to go. My only concern is that this position has ultimately been thrust upon her.
She had choices, Raya. She chose to stay.
I'm sure she's ready, but I'm loath to make assumptions these days.
We offered her a place in our family, Raya. She accepted the responsibility for her metis and for her previous pack instead.
You must hold a lot of faith in her.
She is a good Galliard, Raya. She's a fine tale singer. And while she walks comfortably in the sept, she does not forget what home is like. She appeals well to both sides.
Hmm. I think I can see how she would.
She would have been a fine go-between, Raya. But I not hold it against her that she honors her responsibility to those beneath her.
Well, I suppose time will work things out for us.
In the meantime, she is still a good go-between. As
She
are
is.
you. She reaches over and gives him a poke. Now, if only you could speak so well to the rest of my pack as you do to me. If only things were a little easier and a little better.
I would already have the opportunity to talk to them these days. Haven't seen Balian and Banshee in a long time. See it
Banshee
every
is
now and
finally
then.
around, here and there. Easier to catch. Balian is still dragged away. I don't know on what, but busy and distant. So at least she you could speak to.
I might invite her to tea sometime.
You should.
I'll give it a shot then. I see your little friend is still mowing down the last of my treats.
And she casts a side glance to little mouse buddy, who has a only very faintly but comically distended tummy and is still like whiskers flying, crumbs, everywhere, just having a blasty blast. She will actually go so far as to lower her teacup and kind of tilt it towards him so he can stick his little face in it. Naturally, instead of just drinking some of the tea, he's going to like bathe his little face and leave a bunch of crumbs from his whiskers in there. But you know what? That's okay. She doesn't seem especially put off by it. Goes right back to drinking her tea, finishing off what remains. We seem to be very bad at having lighthearted tea time, Raya.
I don't know. I think this is one of our better tea times. We'll wrap an arm around her, an arm around her and jostle her a little bit.
And yeah, she won't fight it. She gets pulled in by an arm and offers that just a soft smile. And she'll actually go ahead and lean into him briefly while he's doing it, putting her head on his shoulder again. Just kind of enjoying the fact that he doesn't seem to be put off by her cooties.
By her metis cooties.
She does have a nasty case of the metis cooties.
And her antlers are everywhere. Oh.
She will strain not to poke him in the eyeball, just for him.
What was it?
Thank you, Raya.
Don't worry about it.
Whatever may happen, Raya, please do me the favor of remembering that sometimes my Raya is caught up by more than the usual fit of rage or temper. But I will do everything in my power to keep it under control, as I have.
I'll note it in my little notebook.
And she grins a bit, finally offers a handout to little mouse bro. And finally transfers him into a pocket where he curls up into a fat, happy little ball of fluff.
Jacob will rise from his chair and again, like a gentleman, offer her a hand. Like a lady. A silver fang etiquette.
No. Yep, she will take the hand and rise on up from her chair. And will, not impulsively, not very abruptly, but she will actually, for once, give in to the urge and go ahead, and once she's properly upright, will hug him up properly.
Jacob fully accepts the embrace.
And I will finally give you just a little tidbit, little something. Since you got your one dot, your one whole dot.
Psychology, yeah.
Your one dot. She takes like normally people are into hugs and they're just nice and they're pleasant and they calm people down and whatnot. She seems to be have something of a magnified effect on it. And I mean, it shouldn't be too hard for him to put together the fact that she is generally fairly touch starved. So there's definitely a fairly immediate soothing effect, especially when there's no resistance or hesitation when she hugs on him.
Yeah. Jacob kind of wraps his arms around her a little bit more and rests his chin on her shoulder. Or just over it, rather.
Yep. And I mean, it's one of those things where you can practically feel the tension kind of work itself out after a couple prolonged moments. Though after several prolonged moments, she seems to kind of catch herself up and goes ahead and not like with an impolite speed, but kind of promptly goes ahead and disentangles herself as though she's gotten caught doing something almost.
Jacob will just kind of say during the hug, spend so much time out in the cold, deserve a little warmth every now and then.
Only when it's earned, Raya.
I dare say you've earned it.
We shall see. I suppose I'm off to the conservatory then to speak to the doves.
Be careful with your mouse friend. I might have to limit his snack intake from now on.
And she kind of, takes a finger and pulls open the pocket a bit, and glances down into it where he's just curled up into a little, like lazily bathing his whiskers in a little ball. Reaches in and gives him a tiny scratch. I do make it my business to spoil him rotten, Raya.
You'll get fat. He smokes.
And she smirks a bit too. This time with it's not quite as weak as it normally is. Just a little earnest smirk. And she'll, just reach out and briefly grasp his shoulder and then finally go ahead and turn to go.
Jacob waves. Says goodbye.
Yep, she'll give it a little wave back. And I guess she will, in fact, go ahead and orient herself towards the conservatory. And probably, as she gets within a certain distance, will slide across the gauntlet, because that is a good trip across the sept. And through many a non-veiled area.
Yes. And I think with that, we can end our scene.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Little Bae, for baying. And thank you, Players, for watching.